Hey guys, back again. So today we're going to review Magic from 1978, directed by Richard Attenborough, starring Anthony Hopkins and Margaret, David Ogden Stiers, and Burgess Meredith. So Magic I have reviewed before on this channel, but I reviewed it a long time ago, a couple years ago, and I had like no subs then, so like nobody really knows that that video exists, so I'm just gonna re-review it because I really wanted to talk about it, and I feel like I probably will do a better job at this review than I did before because for a while it took me a long time to talk normal in a video because it just took a while, because doing this, it's so different to talk onto a camera and get used to it. And I think I've done this long enough now that I'm used to it. So let's get started. So Magic I've seen many times, and it's because of the movie poster that is the reason why I watched this movie. The poster is really one of my favorite posters ever because of the pure simplicity and creepiness of it. The poster of this movie, I think, really sold my idea of wanting to see it. And I love that horror movie posters can do that, like especially horror movie posters from the 70s and 80s. But it took a while for me to watch the movie because the movie has so many rights issues. It was, I think, released by 20th Century Fox whenever it went to theaters, but then they lost the rights. So the movie has kind of been on a weird conveyor belt of like different studios that contain it over a couple of years, and it took me a while to finally watch it, and I really it took me a lot of time to find it, but I really love that whenever I found it, it was so rewarding because I really loved this movie. When I watched the movie for the first time years ago, I was pretty impressed with it, but as time goes on, it genuinely makes me, like, every time I watch this movie, I genuinely feel really good watching this movie. I think this movie, every time I watch it, it gets better and better. The main plot to this is stand-up comedian Corky and his friend Fats, who's a ventriloquist dummy, gets a chance at fame, but then he is scared to take it because he knows he's a little loopy because of how he talks to this dummy, and he doesn't want to take mental examination. So he runs away, reunites with his own flame while dealing with his Fats persona as well. His dummy Fats seems to have a mind of his own. Now, when people talk about creepy doll movies, this is not one that people immediately go to, and I think I understand why. It's not a fast-paced horror movie. It's a movie that really is a slow burn. It really takes its time. It's a movie that gives you credibility to watch this movie that is incredibly slow. It's a movie that you watch it and you're not here for a movie that is a full-on fast-paced horror movie, and this movie takes its time. It's incredibly well made, really genuine in all aspects. It's not a fast-paced creepy killer doll movie, but it's a slow burn of this man who's going into this deep struggle and fear of himself and Fats. So let's talk about Fats the dummy, because I talked about Corky, who's the comedian, and then Fats the dummy is his buddy, his friend. And Fats the dummy is one of the scariest designs I have ever seen. And as a kid, I was freaked out by dummies and dolls. And this movie, if I watched this as a kid, I might have never recovered because I grew out of that, being scared of dolls. But this, if I saw this thing whenever I was a kid, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if I would have gotten out of this fear, because this is one of the scariest designs ever. It is truly horrifying. It looks so human, and it looks just so real, and I think it's so cool how much it looks like Anthony Hopkins. Like, they look very close. Apparently, during the movie being made, Anthony Hopkins went and took the dummy home with him, like, at wherever he was staying, and he called Richard Attenborough in the middle of the night, saying that he was going to throw this dummy into the canyon because he was scared to death of it, and he was literally in fear of this thing. And director Richard Attenborough had to come and calm him down because this thing was so freaky. And I wonder if this thing still exists. I wonder if it's still somewhere in a house or somewhere in like a museum. I'm really curious to where they'd have this. That'd be cool to see this thing in person, because this thing, I don't like it. Just watching it on film, this is one of the scariest looking dummies ever. I love, too, how the movie is incredibly ambiguous because you truly never know the truth about Fats the dummy. You look at it as either Corky's crazy or Fats is possessed by something that is beyond psychological fear, and you don't know the truth. And I really, really love that and appreciate that. You never know if he's truly alive or if Corky's just truly insane. The movie balances this very well. It always keeps you guessing throughout the movie, and it always places Fats in a position where it could go either way. Like, it could be him, the dummy, being alive, or it could be just Corky doing this. And I like the fact that, again, with both sides of this, with Corky thinking he's mentally crazy, not wanting to take an exam, but also Fats the dummy was made by a guy named Merlin, who was the guy who taught everything to Corky. And Merlin is the name of a magical being that's usually in fantasy. Merlin is a name that's heard a lot as a wizard. And I liked those different ideas, that it could just be psychological or it could be magic. And the movie is called Magic, so I think that that is a cool idea in its own. And you never know what the true answer is, and I love that movie for this. I really, really like the opening scene of this movie with Corky and Fats doing their stand-up after they go talk to Merlin, who's the one who taught Corky everything. And Corky goes up to Merlin, who's dying, and lies to him and says that it went really well. Like, everybody liked my stuff, liked my stand-up. And you watch, while Corky is telling Merlin this story, you see that it's a very cool use of filmmaking, where you see the use of Corky narrating on screen while showing what's really happening. And I really think it's so cool, because he's saying, oh, everything went well, everybody liked my routine. And then, of course, Merlin is like, I don't believe you. Like, tell me the truth. Like, did you actually do good? Did people like you as in your stand-up? And then you watch on screen just Corky break down at the where he's doing stand-up. And I love this scene. It's one of the best scenes in the whole movie, just of him breaking down and screaming that that all this I've done, and you're all laughing at me for it. And I really, really like this scene, them screaming at the audience. It's a pivotal scene, because it really shows how great they portray that Corky could be either way. And you don't know if there's a force from Fats, or if he's just this mentally crazy. And like, if it is a split personality, I like that Corky and Fats are one and the same. They both need each other to survive, whether it's a supernatural entity or it's a mental issue. I also like the use of harmonicas whenever Fats is around. It's really creepy just hearing that harmonica music, and that signifies that there's something, even when Fats is not moving, that there's something going on. And the harmonica music is a good use of, like, kind of like your mind warping. Like, I really like that. That's a really cool use of music. Jerry Goldsmith makes a really fantastic score here, and his score works very well with the horror, with the harmonica music, but also with the swelling, emotional music of the romantic moments with Corky and Peg. Anthony Hopkins is really fantastic in this film, and it is one of those movies that after Silence of the Lambs came out, people looked back on this movie and thought this is his first crazy role, or one of his great first crazy roles, and it got more appreciation after the fact, after he was Hannibal Lecter in 1991 Silence of the Lambs. So it's so cool to see him get recognition for this, because this movie deserves it. And I really like that a movie that's bigger than this, that won all these awards and made a lot of money, and this, I don't know how much money this made. I don't think it made a lot. I bet it made decent money. I don't know, but I know it didn't make Silence of the Lambs money. But I like that this movie got more appreciation because of that movie. Anthony Hopkins also voices Fats as well, and he is really scary. He keeps his voice pretty close to his actual voice, but just kind of distorted with Fats' voice, and it just really works in the best way. So we got to talk about Anne Margaret, who is so lovable and cute and charming in this movie. I really, really dug Anne Margaret in this movie, and I haven't seen many movies with her, and I want to see more immediately, because rewatching this movie, I just really loved her in this performance. And I like too that Peg as well is stuck in a situation that she wants to get over. She's stuck with this guy she's married to, Duke, and like, she wants to get away from him, and like, he's gone all the time, and then she reunites with Corky whenever he goes back to this hometown where he meets her, reunites with her, and it's really cool that their bond really works very well. It really just shows that these two have really good chemistry together, and they're both really fantastic. I also like that it's a thriller, but it's really a romantic thriller in a way. And even the poster alone, like it says, a terrifying love story. I like that a lot. I think that that is really cool because the plot with the romance is just as important as the horror. Peg is the only human being that makes Corky feel more normal, but he also has to deal with the fact that Fats is dominating him, and he has to choose between both of them. And I really like, it's a romantic movie, but it's also a really good thriller where like you see this character struggling through trying to find one thing, and like he wants both. He does want Fats and Peg, but he can't do both because Fats has such a dominating personality. And also, Corky has always been a loner. I think he even says it in the movie. And Peg is the only one that makes him feel normal. So whenever he reunites with her, it's a real struggle to see him deal with her or Fats. And I really love that. That's such a fantastic use of just movie making. Up to the last shot, the movie delicately weaves the romance and the horror at the same time, and I love how a movie can do that up to the very end. It's weird because both plots are so equal that it just surprises me every time and how effective they both are. Magic is very effective and has always worked for me, and every time I watch it, it gets better and better. Really love this movie. It is one of my absolute favorite horror thrillers, and that is it today on Magic from 1978. Tell me down below what you guys think of the movie. I've already said I love it. I think it's great movie. Tell me down below what you guys think. I want to hear your thoughts, and thank you guys for watching.